Hey folks, it's me, TheTacticalBrit, and it's probably been, I don't even know how long, a very long time since we've spoken about Hell Let Loose, and that's fine. That's fine, it's fine. We haven't played a lot of Hell Let Loose recently because, like many of you, we are waiting for the next major update. I'm somebody who's played Hell Let Loose, much like I've played Squad for a very long time now, and it's the new updates that really get me coming back and checking out what's going on in the game. For those of you unaware, the next major update to the game is Update 9, which is releasing in Q1 2021, meaning it's pretty much not very far away at all. If I were to describe Update 9, fundamentally this is a quality of life update. Update 9 isn't a major content introduction, but we do have major content coming in the not too distant future. Flamethrowers, Kursk, the Russian forces, overhauls of various different systems, Eastern Front, Western Front maps, all sorts of stuff, even campaign mode, which is sort of like a battlefield style operations mode. And that major content introduction, which is coming in 2021 and is a major and significant part of making Hell Let Loose a fully fledged title, is very much not far away at all. It's very exciting to see all of that stuff coming. There's lots of really good stuff, including the Russian forces there. But Update 9 is a critical update because Update 9 is about finalizing the game. It's a quality of life patch that's going to make a difference to the trajectory of Hell Let Loose. When it comes to early access shooters in particular, it isn't necessarily the big major updates that change and add loads of different things that will make a game good or bad. It's the updates in between, like Update 9 in this example, which will have significant improvements to try and make things better for people across the board. So we're going to start with the major changes in this update, and then I'm going to sort of whiz through the little changes at the end. The major changes are quite important because, of course, you know, they're the things you guys are going to notice early on, and the biggest one is probably a complete overhaul of how the meta Garrison system works in the game. Now, for those of you who are aware, Garrisons currently work in the game by being allowed to spawn in zones that you have captured, which is the blue zone. In the upcoming Update 9 release, you'll be able to spawn garrisons in the first row/column of the enemy team, meaning that you can have the garrison closer to the enemy front line. Now, these garrisons will cost more points to construct, being 100, meaning that they are more resource heavy, and they will also deactivate whenever an enemy is within 100 meters. So these are garrisons which are not intended to be those sort of, you know, random offensive garrisons that we were used to in previous iterations of Hell Let Loose, but rather these are garrisons that are intended to be offensive flanking garrisons. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I actually don't mind the garrison system as it is. I like the fact that Hell Let Loose has a very functional front line, and that the front line is very obvious in most scenarios, and the action is very much thick and fast. In previous iterations of Hell Let Loose, the number of garrisons that would be behind enemy lines meant that the game just got confusing and messy, and people were coming from all sorts of directions, and I actually like that they changed the system. I think the system that they're going for in U9 is even better, because they do want to bring an element of offensive gameplay into the game, but at the same time they don't want to completely destroy the frontline element of the World War II title, which is very exciting. Of course, when we actually get hands-on with it, we can see how it works in the real world. The next major introduction is a server admin camera. This is fantastic and exciting for those of you who are server admins. I know it's difficult at the moment here and there to moderate your servers and see what's happening, and we very rarely have cheaters or exploiters or whatever it is in Hell Let Loose, but it's nice to know that the tools are there to make it happen. The next major overhaul is the armor system, which is getting a rework, and there's lots of stuff going on here. It's very detailed. There's going to be hitbox changes, handling changes, collision changes, changes to the damage and trajectories and penetrations of effectively all of the rounds related to armor. So that's heavy machine gun rounds, splash damage from explosive rounds, all of that is going to be in the first stage of overhaul in Update 9, which is very exciting. Armor is not in a great place right now. It's definitely a critical component of the game, but it just feels crappy to use, and I'm really glad that this is something that they're looking into, because armor in a lot of games similar to Hell Let Loose does feel like fun. Postscriptum's armor feels fantastic, Squad's armor feels fantastic, and there are lots of various hardcore shooters which manage to nail the feel of it. In Hell Let Loose, they just seem a little bit too clunky for most people's liking. The next major introduction is the introduction of the MG34 machine gun, which I'm sure most of you history buffs out there are very much looking forward to. And the last major overhauls are sound improvements across the board, optimization improvements across the board, and the biggest one for me being weapon visual quality being completely overhauled, and grass and foliage spawning being improved. This is really exciting because the weapon visuals at the moment are a little bit here and there, and grass spawning, especially when you just spawn in on a garrison or an outpost, is really bad, and I'm glad they're trying to fix the optimization and loading times of these things, because there'll be times where I'm in a field and I'm like, 100% safe and I think I'm fine, and I'm prone in the grass and somebody just shoots me from the middle of nowhere, and lo and behold they've spawned on an outpost. I suppose I should probably also mention that there is a melee system coming. This kind of slipped my mind just because a melee system is something you kind of expect to be in an FPS game, but I'm glad it's coming to Hell Let Loose. There's going to be a nice feature. Melee has definitely got a place in Hell Let Loose, and I'm sure it's something a lot of us are looking forward to. It just sort of kind of slipped to the back of the list here because it's one of those things where it's like, now that we didn't have it, it didn't really bother me that much, but being able to hopefully have bayonet charges in the future and, various different melee items is actually pretty cool. There are some smaller changes here or there. For example, barbed wire is officially receiving actual functionality. It will slow you down, it'll be difficult to get through, and even cause damage. Additional loadouts are coming, there are UI changes, there'll be a Utah Beach offensive mode, the max levels are being increased, there'll be localization improvements, a warm-up staging period for warfare mode, bug fixing, crash fixing, and an XP level increase. There'll also be the community voiceovers and various other bits or pieces regarding sound. So overall, a really solid quality of life update. I think there are some really good things in here. They're definitely going to make Hell Let Loose a better game. Obviously for me, I think, from a content standpoint, it's not fantastic, but we know the content's coming. We know there's that big update inbound, and I think many of us are just waiting to see the improvements of optimization and seeing the game just get to a cleaner place than what it is now. I should also add as well, for those of you out there who are dealing with visual issues with the game, in terms of anti-aliasing or the game looking blurry, they're also introducing new anti-aliasing options in this update, which have been community curated, which is really cool. A lot of you guys have been editing INI files and all sorts of weirdness to try and get visuals to look good, and that's now going to be an official option in the game. But overarchingly, yeah, really excited for this update, really excited to see what's coming with Hell Let Loose, and hopefully this will pave a good pathway for the Russian forces to be introduced. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, thank you for watching, leave a sub, and I'll catch you again in the next video.